very good morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 9th day of October 2023. Quite a lot happening today as far as our news cycle is concerned, and this includes the President's program in Nyanza. And for the President today, earlier this morning, he assented to the privatization bill at the Kisumu State Lodge. I'll just be giving you details of that in a short while. And after that, he sat down to meet with the cabinet. And later, expected from around 11 a.m., the president will be commissioning MV Uhuru 2 at the Kisumu shipyard. This is as part of the Kenya Shipping Lines, a firm that was established for the manufacturing of maritime vessels. And in the afternoon, it will be the launch of the Bondo Luanda Road in Bondo constituency. So Wycliffe Okech is our reporter at that event, and he is going to be taking us through that. And just to mention about the president's program today, already he has assented to the privatization bill of the bill number 22 of the National Assembly of 2023, which was originated by the cabinet and sponsored by the leader of majority, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and it was assented just over a month ago. So it repeals the Privatization Act of 2005. This was enacted before the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And so the whole essence of it is to make sure that the privatization process of non-strategic and loss-making government entities has got a less bureaucratic process. So the delivery and infrastructure of public services through the involvement of private capital and expertise, thus reducing the need for government resources to be used. So the bill has also provided for the establishment of the Privatization Authority, and this has to go through parliamentary approval, especially for the appointment of members of the authority. And the privatization program and the sharing of responsibilities has been indicated there, and the role of the National Assembly shall be mainly to ratify that. That has been indicated in the new act, in the Privatization Act of 2023, as it is now known. And remember that the act does not apply to, one, sale of shares in the secondary market, sale of shares by a social security fund, compensation fund, or pension funds, or an insurance fund that are under public control, and also the sale of new shares to existing shareholders through a rights issue. And it also indicates how the proceeds of sale shall be paid into the consolidated fund, dispute resolution, and also it indicates that any ongoing privatization under the Act of 2005 now shall be determined and finalized in accordance with the Privatization Act of 2023. That is the first from briefing that we have received from Kisumu, as His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, continues with his tour of the Nyanza region. So currently, he's chairing the cabinet meeting, Kisumu State Lodge, and after that, to the Kisumu shipyard for the commissioning of MV Uhuru 2, and later he'll be going for the Bondo Luanda Road launch. Now, the International Commission of Jurists, they are meeting today, and this is to talk about the World Day Against the Death Penalty. Kenya currently has got 101 people on death row. So the ICJ wants that law removed, such that if anything, the maximum penalty would be life in prison. It has been a very huge discussion, and that is what our reporter Kastian Masha will be taking a look at. It's the International Day of the Girl Child, celebrated on the 11th day of October every year. It's part of the United Nations program. And so, knowing tomorrow is a public holiday then makes it easier that all activities are made known today. So we're going to be told all about what's going to be happening on that day. And also, there is the Africa Continental Qualification Framework Conference that is taking place today. And it is going to, they will bring together experts from 35 countries in Africa to discuss about how this works. So this has started today, and we'll be keeping tabs on it as part of our news cycle, in addition to keeping up with what's happening elsewhere in the country, in Kisumu, and also in Mombasa. Our teams are on the beat. Now, also, sports-wise, we'll be talking about two sports today. One, we know that the world record in the men's marathon was lowered yesterday to 2 hours 35 seconds by Kelvin Kiptum in Chicago. What is the outlook for that? Plus also seeing Sifan Hassan run the second fastest time by a woman in the marathon. So we'll be talking with John Veslin about that later today. But also there is one sport, they always, it has got its own reputation, but there are people who are earning a living for it. In studio today, I've got two gentlemen. We've got Michael Kirago, who's chairman of PERAC, Pubs and Restaurants Association of Kenya, and we've got Pastor Nganda, who's from the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation. And they're going to be talking to us about this because a couple of weeks ago, Kenya hosted the continent, and not just the continent, but there were pool players from around the world representing, from Europe also, including our world champion, and the impact of it. And at the moment, the Kenyan team is finalizing their plans to take part in the All Africa 8-ball pool championships. Gentlemen, welcome. And I'll start with you, Michael, and the whole, just give us, the whole impact of the Africa Challenge that was the showcase that was hosted in Nairobi a couple of weeks ago. What was the outlook for that, and how did the people who went to that place, react to the pool skills that we witnessed there?
Actually, thank you for hosting us today. I'll start with apologies from Wandia D, who's the Secretary General for KPB. She was supposed to be here, but she couldn't make it. It was amazing because we actually came to find out our skills are not up to par as we thought they were. There are people who just make things look easy, while actually we know from years and years of training that it's not easy at all. So there was people from 10 countries. It was held at a club on Ngong Road called Mchana Club. And we got to see live, actually, for a lot of people, for the fans, Kenyan fans, it was the first time they got to see actually pool being played by world-class people. We were lucky enough to have the world champion, who's from South Africa. This year, actually, Africa is taking its place on the international stage when it comes to pool. Even the lady winner was actually also a South African. She went on to win. So when actually we had and seeing these people, being able to interact with them, it inspired a lot of the younger generation and everyone there to see actually there's a future in this. And it's a sport. I know you said about reputation and what happens, but they came to see that we're actually talking about something someone can work up, practice, and make a living out of.
Actually, the phrase that is usually used, and it was stolen from snooker, is proficiency. In the sport, is a sign of a wasted youth. So I don't think a lot of people have wasted their youth, maybe South Africans. But Pasio, just tell us, from the Kenyan perspective, we have seen pool competitions that have taken place before. I remember there was, I think the biggest was Simba Kenya, just over 20 years ago, and there are those that have been there. What has been the growth of the sport as competitive as it was? Because I think when pool was reintroduced about just close to 30 years ago, it suddenly shot up and quick skills were picked up.
Well, I agree with you that pool, once pool was initiated in Kenya some many years ago, it came up well. It shot up, as you're saying. But then somehow, after the Simba Kenya, it got cold, and the efforts to revive it were actually on an individual capacity. Say like individual sponsors are holding tournaments, especially the recent one where we saw the whole continent coming here to play pool as a sport. We saw, like he said, the world champion came along. We had many international players, and also we had actually 3 African champions who came along to play pool in Kenya.
Actually, I'll be coming back to that.
Yes.
But what was that phenomenal growth that came around just around the turn of the millennium, especially when we had that Simba Kenya?
Yes, we owe it to the corporates that came on board that time. We had Castle Lager, who actually are the ones who provoked other corporates to come on board, then followed East African breweries in the name of the competition dubbed Simba wa Kenya, which was held like 3 times. And then sort of Pool, at that time, Pool did not get the clamor that ought to have been. And then it went down a little bit. I can say only individual efforts, personal efforts from interested parties that have brought Pool this far. And we have tried in a number of occasions to bring the government on board or to promote Pool as a sport. Because when you look at it, Pool is one game that is very popular. Actually, I would say it is second to football, but by far leading game when it comes to team and individual participation. Yeah.
Let me come to this, because where Pool started, before we got pool halls, you know, where people are putting up tables under sheds and all that, it was through pubs, restaurants. How much of an effect did it have, you know, post Simba wa Kenya in the early 2000s? Because that's where, you know, we talk about the cup from those who played it.
Because I remember myself personally playing it, it was not even only the pools and the pubs. We had even in town where we had whole buildings on the bottom, which is now stalls. If I remember, down Luthuli, all those areas going up, all those empty spaces on the ground were just full of pool tables. There are people who used to wear a suit, leave their houses in the morning, and go and play pool the whole day. That time was a bit of gambling and everything. But it actually became even a working thing for them. So I think in those years, about that 2005, 6, I think it fizzled out. All those places got cut up into shops, and so people had less and less places to play it, where there was no so-called influence of the bars and the whatever, because we understand, yes, that is for some people, they don't want to be seen in a bar to play pool. But we did have pool halls. We had pool halls we had pool tables in the old halls, if you see, in the county halls, yes, where there used to be the sports, people had boxing, people had what. There used to be pool tables in such, but also those places are fizzled out because they closed down. The county was no longer sponsoring, I don't know why, but a lot of, actually that even brings a problem with the youth, because that's where the youth used to go and not get into problems.
Yeah, there were the social halls.
Yes,
that was the reason.
Yes. So now they didn't have anywhere to go. So I think that is the thing, hopefully we are trying to bring back, get government involved to reopen these places and have places for the youth to access the sport without necessarily having to go to a bar or something like that.
And it also brings in an issue because, you know, there are those who may be endowed enough to own a pool table in their homes, or maybe they find that they can have a snooker table, just sister sports to it. What are the things that you're seeing as a challenge outside of, you know, adult establishments for adults only? Think schools. Think, well, should I say? Think even marketplaces.
Well, pool has not lost it. When you go to our universities, our colleges, TVETs and all that, you'll find some of them, most of them have provided a whole hall that they have established pool tables that students do recreate by shooting pool in those arenas. When pool is social, it is very interactive. Number two, pool game does not take much space where it is normally built. Again, pool has no age demarcation. Good. Pool has no gender demarcation. Pool has no class. That's why you had Mike talk of guys coming from the office with their suits and ties and still shooting pool. So really, there are guys who wouldn't want to be associated probably with bars. And that's why today we are promoting pool in social halls. Say like even county halls and stuff like that. Something purposely just for pool, because students also require to play pool as a sport right from their schools. We would actually encourage if our secondary schools also provide halls, to where a table can be put, and that particular talent is harnessed right from that particular age, and that will make pool grow here in Kenya, and we can be competitive even in the world.
Now, the other thing is when it comes to pool, it is all down to the kind of, number one, especially when you're going to play professional pool, because that's what the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation is pushing, is the equipment. Let's start basically with the pool table. What is it that you require? Because to use Kenyan language, they always say, imeza in a drift. Such that if I come there with my bevel, my sliding level, then I would find that it's all fine. What are the requirements that you need?
Actually, basically, it's a pool table that you require, which basically measures 7 by 3 feet. So it doesn't take a lot of space. Just like you see table tennis. It's more or less the size of a table tennis. And then with the pool table, you also have the cue sticks. Of course, the pool table comes with balls. The pool table also got to be aligned. Why people say there are drifts is because when you're shooting balls, basically for you to be effective and pot a ball, it has to go on a straight line without dents or something like that, yeah? Without deviating from the target that you're aiming. So it's basic alignment of the table. But I think what to be appreciated here is that pool table takes very little space. Actually, that's why you find it is affordable even to be erected in bars and social places with a lot of ease.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor Ngasa speaking to us about that. And just a news update is that there has been a major development, and this is of monumental significance in the fight against corruption. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO, Twalib Mbarak, will be addressing a press conference in Chale Island, Kwale, today. And we shall be expecting that announcement. So this follows a major development in the monumental significance in the fight against corruption. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO, Twalib Mbarak, will address a press conference in Chale Island in Kwale County today. And let us just go straight there and listen to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO Twalib Mbarak. Okay. We apologize. We're having a technical hitch getting that signal coming in from Kwale, in Chale Island in Kwale, and so we shall be following up on that. It's a major development on the fight against corruption in the country. So once we have that signal coming through, we shall be moving over to Chale Island in Kwale and hear from EACC CEO Twalib Mbarak. Now, let's get back to a conversation, and it is about the African 8-Ball Pool Championship. So, and, you know, Kenya hosted about a dozen countries just 2 weeks ago, and there are Kenyans going, 16 of them were expected to travel. So, and we're talking about this sport and everything that it does. We're with Michael Kirago, who's the chairman of the Pubs and Restaurants Association of Kenya, and Pastor Ngada from the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation. Michael, when you have been told you're going to host a tournament of this nature, one of the things you've got to provide is space. They always say that if there is no space, there is a cue stick.
A smaller one.
A shorter one.
Kapienga.
Or there is an actor who's... how do you allocate this space such that there is fair play? I mean, for all if you've got to have, say, 4 matches running concurrently.
I think, that's a very good point, because actually looking for fora where people can successfully hold these tournaments, there are not that many places with more than 1 or 2 tables. So this time round, we found there where we were playing at Mchana, which has 7 tables. So it was quite easier for the championship. Actually, that championship took 4 days. It ran for 4 days. I think people arrived on a Wednesday and left on Monday. So I think the only comparable ones are in the...
Michael, we'll be coming back to that, about space availability, especially when you're holding major championships. Now, let's move over to Chale Island in Kwale, where the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO, Twalib Mbarak, is addressing a press conference, and this is following a monumental and significant development in the fight against corruption.
Na umeweza yetu leo pamoja na senator. Kwa hivyo tukitoka hapa mjue kuwa EACC is a partner of both national government and the county government, and we are here to help you, but please help us. Jana muliona tulishika mapolisi kule Matu wakiokota pesa na tuko tushawa rekodi, na muliona nyinyi kwa TV vile wanavyookota pesa. Hii hapana ati ile traffic roadblocks, they have become traffic toll stations where policemen openly wanachukua bribe. Tafadhalini wananchi, mkiwa kwa matatu mko watu okota pesa, mnaomba sisi tumechukua picha yako na WhatsApp tunapelekea Twalibu. Tumeni, msikubali matatu zitoe pesa kiholela kwa polisi. Ewe iende. Lakini mambo kusimamishwa kwamba weka gari kando, alafu unajua tu hapa hawa jamaa wanataka pesa. Nyinyi pia mtusaidia katika hii vita dhidi ya ufisadi. Manake sisi peke yetu hatuwezi kushinda hivi vita. Na mkiona kitu mwisho kabla tujaondoka, nimeambia governor, japokuwa sisi tumerecover hizi ardhi.
That is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO, Twalib Mbarak, who's speaking in Chale, and this follows a major and monumental significance in the fight against corruption. And there was the story that was circulating about police officers who had been tracked on the Thika Garissa highway, and they were monitored for quite some time, and when they were arrested, they had, say, about 12,000 shillings in cash in low valued notes, low denomination notes, and currency, and this is part of it. And what the CEO has called on members of the public is blow the whistle on such things. It doesn't matter how big it is, but keep blowing the whistle. Our team in Mombasa is going to be giving us an update on that story as we proceed with our conversation. So let's get back to a conversation, and we are speaking about the Africa 8 Pool Championship. It's taking place this week in South Africa, but the build-up was here in Kenya 2 weeks ago. And we are with Pasi Ongasa, who is on my far left. He's with the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation, and Michael Kiragu, who is the chairman of PERAC. Now, Michael, you were talking about space required, and you mentioned that for the Africa challenge that was here, you got a venue which has got 7 pool tables.
Yes.
So just tell us about that, because at one point, some of these pro pool players, they want the space to themselves at all times.
Yes. And this, even with those 7 tables and the space that was there, we were quite squeezed in, if we are being honest. So I think now it's time to, we're having national championship or something, that we'll have to actually now get spaces in these national stadiums. Why shouldn't there be some room in Nyayo Stadium? Why can't we get
somewhere? They have a gym.
Yes, but with somebody also put, we have to remember that in the next cycle, pool is going to be an Olympic sport. So we are here, we'll be, if we keep this movement running and everything, we should be sending a pool team to the Olympics. So we should also get, if we
apologies.
Yes. We have to remember that also pool is the highest tax-paying sport in this country, first of all. So I think we should get something back.
Let's explain that, because people may try to booze.
No. Actual pool tables, every pool table is taxed. It's taxed, which is something we are against at the moment, by the Betting and Licensing Control Board. We don't understand really why, but it's something that's been held. It's something that's been held back for a long time. And now at the county level, for example, Nairobi County charges 5,000 shillings per table as a license for you to have a pool table in your premises. So if you can imagine how many we have around 10,000 pool tables. Do the math. but there is zero support back from the government. But they are collecting this money. We wonder where that money goes.
All right, and let me just come to you, Pastor, because it brings in a factor. Is how do you separate, this the Betting Control and Licensing Board? Because the BCLB will come in when they realize that there is some activity, but they can't tie it to all of this vis-a-vis the Sports Act, which gives a federation a reason to lobby for tax waivers.
Well, let me slightly touch the issue of space and pool. Pool is one sport that will experience minimal challenge when it comes to space. If you look at even the areas that do not have much space, like the malls, look at Mudhurwa, look at marketplaces, look at Gikomba and all that. Those spaces, the little spaces that even people use to doing their clothing and all that, you'll find someone has gone and erected a pool table there. So pool table, being small, being sized at 7 foot to 3, and then you require only a radius of say like 4 feet for extension, especially for the person who is shooting. So pool really and space is not much challenge. That's why you find pool actually across all over the nation, and even at small radius of even like 50 meters, 100 meters, you find so many pool tables arranged, because they don't require that much attention when it comes to space. When it comes to the licensing, we may not have, we will not be competent with figures, but certainly for everyone who erects a pool table, they pay tax for it. That goes to betting and control, BCLB, something like that. Yeah, and they charge. So you can imagine how many pool tables. I'm sure those people listening to us and listening and hearing the word pool table, they must have either seen it, heard of it, because it is there even in our very own villages. When I go to the village, that market, the small market at my village, has even 7, 10 pool tables. And that is the norm for every village in Kenya. That tells you pool is very popular. That tells you pool tables are so many. And there is a lot of tax levied and gotten from those pool tables. In fact, today, the pool players should not be agonizing about even participating in South Africa championships, because there's a lot of money that is collected through that sport.
Well, very interesting. It's only that the BCLB funding vis-a-vis what is envisaged for the sports fund, the channeling is different. And so looking at it, at the impact of that, for example, if I go set up, say this studio, decide to convert it, and I put in 10 pool tables, how then do I ensure that if BCLB, when I pay my BCLB things, how do they leave you, marked for that premises?
At the moment in Nairobi, BCLB is devolved to the county. So the county is who issued the license. It's a normal license like the other ones they give.
Actually, yes, that is a function of county government, yes, when it comes to that.
Yes. So they charge per table 5,000 shillings. This is in Nairobi now. Per table 5,000 shillings. So you're supposed to display the license next to the pool table.
So whoever you hosted had to pay 35,000 shillings per year. They had 7 tables.
Yes, they pay for the tables. Yes, because you'll find there has been times when the county askaris are going around looking for money, and they raid and come and carry balls, or they come and carry cue sticks until they see where is your license for the pool tables. Yes.
I think the amount you pay commensurate with the number of tables you have. If you have one, you pay 5,000. If you have several, you pay for that. And we have clubs here in Nairobi that actually have exhibited, and normally they have put up so many pool tables. I'll begin first with Mchana Pub and Grill along Gong Road. It has 7 of them. We have Clubhouse K1, which has more than 8 pool tables. So it's
that's
really
40,000.
Yes, per annum. So it's really quite a revenue generating sport for Kenya, actually.
Well, very, very interesting numbers. You mentioned about cue sticks and the balls that are used. Just talk about the quality of cue sticks that we used. I think previously, I think Tuwei was here sometime and he came in with different cue sticks. Because what he uses to break is not what he uses to play. Just tell us about that regulation.
I think even I'll hark back to the actual tables, because we have tables where you can get locally made tables, anywhere from 50,000 shillings till the places where now, for example, where you are saying where we play, where they have got supreme tables brought in from the UK, where it would cost you anywhere from 300 to 500,000 to 600,000 shillings for a table. So the the difference in terms of quality is huge. So the way you are talking about drift, the way you're talking about other things, there is a huge difference. The tables that the World Championships are played on, those streams, compared to my table from maybe Kariobangi for 50,000, there is a huge difference in the playing, as well as the cue sticks. Because to say maybe personally like me, I have a cue stick, which maybe is worth maybe like 15,000, but there's a cue stick for 1,000 shillings. So that's the difference. There's a huge difference. So you'll find that a lot of places, those are house cues between 1 and 3,000, 4,000 shillings. And then you'll find people who now actually, they want to move forward with their game. Just like people who are playing golf or any other sport, your personal items you will invest because you want to be better in the sport. Yes.
Well, actually, you know, when you talk about golf, if you try swing with what a pro uses,
so actually,
you actually won't get anywhere.
Yeah, quality matters and differs from one investor to the other, one individual to the other. You wouldn't really expect, say, like people playing in makeshifts, those Mabati built arenas, because there are tables all over, to invest, say, like 400,000 worthy of a table in a makeshift. And people still play a lot of pool from there. And so it depends on one's investment and where they want to go and the quality they want to keep at their own base.
Okay. Now, talking about all of that, so you've got that. Competition-wise, selecting a team, say, for example, for the All Africa 8-Ball Championship, just what format do you use? Because pool is a game, how would I say, when you have this knockout format, today you will have a good, you'll have a good day, you'll have a good week. The following week it will be different. How do you run this, Passion?
Well, let me just begin from this year. The selections that went around this year through Kenya Pool Billiards Federation. They made it so inclusive such that it all began from the sub-counties. They established venues at the sub-county level. People competed there. Those who qualified from the sub-counties went on to compete again at the county levels. Then those who qualified from county levels came to Nairobi to compete for the nationals. And that was the climax of the selection. So the 8 men and the 8 ladies who got selected had to start it all the way from the grassroots, from the sub-county level to the county level up to the national level. The criteria was as easy as they used a round robin mode of play, whereby if you are like 20 players from say the sub-county, then each player plays the other. So that you marshal enough, you play enough games such that...
That is 19 matches if you're 20.
Yes, you play so many games such that whoever comes there comes out refined. You don't get us, you come out because they were looking for Team Kenya. And it had to be thorough, vigorous, such that you establish, it wasn't about luck. It had to be very refined. You had to go through, to pass through fire for you to be among the Kenya team, to make it to the Kenya team.
What was the experience, for example, from what you witnessed, Michael?
I'm sure Percy is saying he passed through fire because he made it to the Kenya team unexpectedly. I might add. Because he's the muzee of the team. The guy who has come from the legend from the past, he has made it through, which is a good thing, I think. Congratulations to him.
Thank you.
Through that process, we saw a good thing. Me, myself, I fell out at the county level. But I think we enjoyed it. We saw it. It's the first time, I think, in a long time we've seen the reach out to the grassroots level. One issue maybe I would have with it was that, in my opinion, we need to reach out to those what is calling makeshifts, because I think we have a whole strata of pool that is going unrecognized. This is the youth. What I understood when we had the foreign players coming 2 weeks ago, the average age of those teams coming was very low. We had the team from Zimbabwe, and I think the oldest person in the Zimbabwe team was 23 years old. So you see where they are really nurturing their talent and pulling through the youth.
You're playing with somebody, you're telling him, hey, go easy, son.
Yes. So we had an issue where the people who are around us playing as Team Kenya, they are legends, but we don't really have youth coming through. That's not saying that they are not playing. It's that there's a disconnect between those makeshifts and where we are playing pool to choose the teams and everything. So I think this is another reason why we were talking maybe about the government sport and everything. That structure in order to reach out to every village and see who is the best there and nurture that talent where they can come and we see them playing maybe in Nyayo Stadium and say maybe it's like, let's say in football, where you see those best players, they said they started playing with this ball made of paper. Yes, how you get that Ronaldinho from the streets is what we need to turn around and turn that and put through this sport in Kenya and make it available to everybody.
You mentioned earlier that you have got to, it's the federation and well-wishers who come in and push this. What's the criteria of getting the competition to run? Because we're talking now at pool as a professional level,
Sure.
where people are actually could be making money. Besides, what is what the sport is more known for. The other side where people, the gambling and that. How are you trying to get this going?
Let me first appreciate that we've come of the age that offers counseling and guidance in pool matters. And we really could appreciate structures that bring out the youthful person to the status that they can bring Kenya glory in the sport of pool. Now, that's why earlier I talked of introducing pool in secondary schools, introducing pool in halls, such that we bring on board stakeholders, corporates that would provide facilitation so that we can grow the sport from basic age. Say like anyone over 18 years, they can participate. Our neighbors, Uganda, have even up to 16 years playing pool, though not professional, but when they turn 18, they're always are people that can really exhibit nice shooting skills and compete internationally. Yes.
Running this competition, what's the cost? Forget what we had a couple of weeks ago. Running this national championship, how are you reaching out to people across the country? Because every town maybe has got somebody who helps coordinate all of this sport.
Well, let me say I owe it to the KPBF. They tried a lot. They tried going to the grassroots. The structure they're following is such that now, in the coming years, say like in the next year, since they're also young in it, in the coming year, they'll try go down. When they go down to sub-county level, they'll also try and reach the locations, identify and scout talents there, who they will nurture and bring up to sub-county level, to county level, and also be exposed at the national level. So there are structures in place that will require facilitation for them to be effective. And actually, we're looking at maybe approaching corporates, approaching the government so that they can venture into this.
Now, from your associations now, from your association, Michael, let's now talk about, this association and how you can help support the game. And, for example, even with those around you, such that you've got the people who put up the little sheds, and when it comes to a competition, then let them come to a table and, to an establishment that is there. People do watch and enjoy. And if possible, you can even have tickets for people to watch those tournaments.
Yes. From our point of view, I'd say from the businessman point of view, at the end of the day, every investment has to bring back something. So depending on where you are, if you get your pool table, you have to charge to make sure that it makes sense. You have to pay the attendant, you have to keep up with maintenance and such things. So that's where the distorted becomes. What the easiest way, I think, because our individual members are the ones who now invest in these facilities. And the easiest way, which at some point actually we are looking to partner with, there was someone who wanted to try and do this, whereby we would have actual leagues between the pubs. So yes, we are playing this team, we are playing this team. So that has come, it's worked before, it's fizzled out, it's worked before. But what it needs is an actual proper structure, whereby we know we are going to visit this other pub, we are playing a game of pool, and I've seen it work very well before. I've seen this work very well in Uganda. In Uganda, it's gotten to a point where it's an actual sport. There are people who wake up in the morning and their job is playing pool, whereby their club pays them. You are a sportsman. Yes, so you do your work every day. You're doing
KBC Pool Club.
Yes. So I think the closest thing we have here is maybe the rugby sort of thing, where you see most of the people who have paid rugby players have an affiliated job with the sponsor, because you find like Queen's players used to work in DH. No, what is it? Nondis used to work in DHL.
That was Nondis.
DHL. You found even when Impala, when the guy was there from the insurance company, was there. You find KBC, KCB. They have guys who. So there's that sort of that sort of support which we need. But again, that now comes back to individuals. Even the tournament we had 2 weeks ago was sponsored by an individual. So it's without that goodwill among the fraternity of pool players and the places that are doing it. Personally, even last week we had the Queen's.
Yes,
Queen's
I was
story.
actually coming to that.
Yes, where that was at my establishment, where we were trying to help the ladies team get some funding. And surprisingly, it's very hard slog getting people on board to fund these missions. Yes.
Well, actually, let's talk about that, because you mentioned that, this is right at the start. It's a sport that knows no gender boundaries.
Yes.
Women taking up the sport. A lot has changed over the last 30 years, culturally, and how things happen. Just how have you seen women taking up this sport? Because I know Doreen would have been here to speak about it, but she sent her apologies because she's got a task ahead for this week.
Well, it's been quite positive. Ladies have come out and recognized pool as a sport, and they have spent their time on it, and they're participating very actively. We have preceding champions. In Uganda, we have a pool team for ladies, which can actually beat some of the African nations team for men. So really, South Africa is the same.
In this country, when you say some, some is when you say some of us,
yes,
it is plural for me.
Yes, and recently, actually,
are you saying that the Ugandan women's team can give men a run for their money?
A run for their money. I can tell you that.
The lady pool cranes can
give a run. They may not take the money, but they can give a run of it. So actually, recently we witnessed our own ladies, people we didn't know that they have such skills, coming on board I think it's about exposure and also the investment in the game that will attract so many people who have talent to come on board. You know, when a game has no much support, no hype, actually people tend to think it's just played by maybe idlers or people who have nothing much to do. But look here, we have lawyers shooting pool and they're very good. I won't mention, you know, them, some of them. Yeah. We have doctors playing pool and they are very good. We have like Mchana Pool and Grill. I can say we have every professional, name it. Pilots.
KBC Kekoso champions.
Pilots. Go. Thank you for inviting Kekoso in the in this topic. So we have a good example in Kekoso where even the MDs or very, very highly ranked officials of those parastatals partake in playing the sport. So really, the sport is there and it's for all of us. It's for every kind of a person. It has no class. You have that young man playing at Gikomba, you have that person in playing at Kariobangi in the makeshifts against that person hosted maybe in a very big hotel, say like these 5-star hotels, and they still play pool. In a competition, they will meet and they'll play the same pool. So pool has no class at all, has no demarcation. It's all round, it's for everyone, including, I have seen members of parliament, elected leaders, governors participating in playing pool. So really, it's a sport. I actually would wonder why it has not received this much accreditation from the government, while actually the highly ranked officials of the government participate in shooting the very game.
What would I say? I think there's another sport where you say if you're playing against a potential sponsor, you lose. So make sure you don't beat him. So you could lose a 7-baller to a governor. Let's talk about officiating at this highest level, because it is stringent and there are regulations that we take for granted when we play socially. What are these regulations that come in at this level?
I suppose what they're pushing now is the 8-ball rules, which the black ball rules, which actually during the Queen's tourney, now you come to mention it, 1 or 2 players who are coming through, that was their major issue, because you found someone who would have made it to the next was not so conversant with these rules. So I think also that training for rules is important, but that will come with the building and the way more players playing are more unified rules, because there are people who play old rules, there are people who play depending. So it's when you go somewhere, when you pick the cue stick you want to play, you have to ask, what rules are you playing? Yes, but right now at the top level, they're playing 8-ball rules most places.
Just clarify on that.
I would say KPBF right now has endeavored to anchor on the international standard kind of rules of playing. And this is black ball rules, as opposed to the then house rules, where you just arrange or make an arrangement on how you're going to do it. But for every sport, for every competition, to be effective even in the world map, you have to begin it off with the standards that are required internationally. In this case, is the world 8-ball. Black ball, actually. Black ball rules, they are the ones being used, and that is what we are inculcating even in those social places where pool is played.
Just to clarify on them, because you know everyone knows, for example, how do you have that track set up? Who breaks? What are the rules that come up around the breaking?
Okay.
What are you allowed to do? You know, we see people sitting on pool tables.
So when the rack is set, there's a way you set the rack. Actually, the yellow balls go to make a J shape, and then these other colors are put one after the other, sort of. So when the rack is set, then for you to decide who goes first, who breaks the balls first, you do what we call a lag. You take 2 balls with the 2 opponents. They try hit the ball to the edge, to the farthest edge of the table. So the ball that comes very close back to the edge that you began, that is the person who has the honors to choose whether to break the balls, to start off, all give that chance to the opponent. Yeah.
Very well. Playing rules. For example, I mentioned there are those who will sit on a table to try, difficult shots. What are the rules around that?
Playing rules?
Yes. Once you break,
in black ball
what
rules,
are the do's and the don'ts? There are those everyone knows. If I pick, say, the yellow ball and you're playing the reds, then I've got to do away with the yellows before I get to the black. But
the moment you break the balls, you either put a ball or at least two balls past the center of the table, backwards from the point that you broke.
That means they come towards you.
Yes, towards you. At least two balls must pass the center line of the table, or at least a ball goes in. Well, sometimes you will break, and that doesn't happen. That becomes a foul, and your opponent is awarded a chance to either re-rack the frame or continue the way the frame is, but with a free shot. That means he has an extra shot where he can bang on any ball. Again, when you're breaking, you're not supposed to put in the white ball. If the white ball checks in, then the opponent also gets a chance to have either the whole setup re-racked, or play continues from there with two visits, or maybe a free shot and another visit.
Well, that is something, because depending on which house rules you say, they always say either one ball, if you break, it either goes in or there's a ball that matches.
So in the process of playing, actually, every time you hit a ball, the object ball, either ball got to go in the pocket, or at least touches the cushion. Either the white ball or even the object ball at least has to touch the cushion. So you can't play like just close here, like some people would do.
We call it snookering.
Yeah, that snookering has to come with style.
Well, Michael, yes.
Yes. Even the two major things you always ask is, do my two shots follow? And in the black ball, you get two shots on the black as well. So those are things that people, if someone comes and sees you playing black ball for the first time, they'll be like, I know this guy is lying to us. So that sensitization is also important of those rules.
Well, and that's high-level competition, because house rules then would apply to other competitions. Now, let me talk about the opportunities. The All-Africa Championship is coming up. Just give us an outlook of this championship and what it means for KPBF.
Well, All African Pool Championships is here with us. Actually, the games begin on 11th in South Africa up to 15th, with an extension of another competition called Holy Cup, but that is optional. But the main event will be from 11th to 15th. Kenya is prepared. Kenya went through a process of selection. 8 men, 8 ladies qualified to form Team Kenya. And right now the concern is 2 days to the event. Kenya team, the one that will carry the flag of Kenya to African Championships, has not yet been funded by the government. And that's a worry for the young people. And actually, while I sit here, I must be that voice for those young people who aspired to represent our nation, who aspired to carry the flag of Kenya high. And up to this minute, they haven't been funded yet.
Good. Now, looking at it, there is also the fact that pool is now going to become an Olympic sport. We saw dance, break dancing. They call it dance sport now. We saw break dancing become an Olympic sport. Sure. What are the opportunities that are coming, and what are the conversations you're having with the National Olympic Committee of Kenya?
I know I'm probably not the best person to speak on that. The little I know is that at least finally they'll be a leg to stand on to push for the funding through NOC. Because at least that money passes with the sports that the people are there. So there is a light probably at the end of the tunnel. I think Pastor would know.
KPBF had their first assignment to see that Kenya participates in African championships. From there, they would now to the second phase of preparing for the Olympics, engaging the stakeholders to this effect. The NOC and all that. I mean, we will be engaging the body that is concerned with the Olympics, probably give us the modalities and all that, because pool is going to the map and Kenya ought not to be left out. In fact, seriously, Kenya is in the world map right now. Our own president is in the world map. He actually is being endowed as maybe the most influential person, leader in East Africa, Africa, and the world at large. Just the other day on TV, they made very serious engagements with Haiti. That means Kenya is on the map. Our president is on the map. Everything else in Kenya should just follow suit. We should just be in the map, because it's about Kenya, it's about our flag soaring very high than anything else.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Pasi Ongasa is with Ganda is with the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation. So, and they're here, and you know, wish Team Kenya all the best in South Africa. And Michael Kirago is with the Pubs and Restaurants Association of Kenya, because you know that's where most of the sport is domiciled, besides the social halls and also institutions of higher learning. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
The last one.
Yeah.
Because I have to break now.
I would have wanted to make an appeal, a special appeal and a very humble appeal to the sports ministry, to our CS, Ababu Namwamba, to the principal secretary, and in a very humble manner again, we would want to invite the president's intervention into this matter so that we can have some funding. We have a day to go.
Okay.
And actually, we have a budget that has got to be met. And we are appealing because we believe our president is astute, is considerable. He promotes youth affairs. And from his style of economic model, bottom up, it is the high time that we got these young people from the bottom up through sports.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nganda, for that, the appeal. And, you know, His Excellency the President is chairing the cabinet. If they get that leak from, then I think maybe somebody will listen to you. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be taking a short break now, and when we come back, let's talk athletics and also an update of what's happening in our news cycle.
KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part of the intelligent conversation. Papa KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
and you have a say.
Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Mchezaji wa Loto Moto.
Mungu awabariki sana.
Ni wengi wanakushukuru bila hata wewe kufahamu.
Niliona Mungu wa ajabu ameshuka.
Ni wengi wanaokuaminia.
Imejaa, imebaki, yani hamtasafi.
Ni wengi wanaokuombea ushindi.
Hawa ndio niachiwe na mama yao wakati aligojeka kwa muda.
Ni wengi unaowagusa kwa kuwapa afueni na imani ya maisha.
Asante na Mungu akubariki pia.
Ni wengi unawatembelea.
Through hii program ndo tunajua vitu zingine.
Na imani yako inawapa amani.
Akaaga juu ya kansa.
Ushindi wako ni wa wengi.
Roma niendanga, Roma.
Asante mchezaji wa Loto Moto.
Kirotea kianani umenimaliza kama chai kwa kikombe.
This guy from Mulolongo, mimi nangoja guy from Mulolongo. Naona tu kichwa imejaa kwa TV.
Unakaanga ile msumari ya mabati. Unajua ile msumari ya mabati inakuanga.
Ile inaitangwa iko na kofia. Amegerong denelom shetani over. Nini?
Umeniroga na sijui baby you're a chum to me.
Kwani walifanya au kwa cabinet? Walifanya nje kwa cabinet? Walilisa, popi hapa tunalisa.
And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 9th day of October 2021. It is the day when His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto, continues with his tour of the Nyanza region. He has been there since Friday through the weekend, and this is the fourth day. And today, several things have happened. Number one, the President, he signed into law the privatization bill that was a National Assembly Bill number 22 of 2023, and it is now known as the Privatization Act of 2023. This was at the Kisumu State Lodge this morning, and this bill originated from Cabinet and was sponsored by the leader of the majority party, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and it was considered and passed by the National Assembly on the 14th of September. Yes, and the purpose of the bill basically is to revise the regulatory framework for the privatization of public entities with a view to improving the efficiency and competitiveness of Kenya's productive resources. And after that, the President chaired a cabinet meeting, and also later today, we expect His Excellency the President to be commissioning MV Uhuru 2. This is a shipping vessel that has been built by the Kenya Shipping Line Limited, and this is the second one. Remember, MV Uhuru 1 was successfully rehabilitated by the Kenya Defence Forces in 2019, and this is a second wagon ferry, MV Uhuru 2. The work started on the 2 years ago in May 2021, completed in 24 months. And normally, such a vessel would take 36 months to build. So it has successfully undergone lake and harbor trials, and onboard systems have been commissioned. So, His Excellency the President is going to be commissioning that. And later in the day, he's going to be moving over to Siaya County. And this is to launch the Bondo Luanda Road in Bondo constituency. So that construction is going to be happening later this afternoon. That's just part of one news cycle. And also remember that there is the Africa Continental Qualifications Framework Conference that's happening in Nairobi. This is hosted primarily by the Ministry of Education. It's also the World Day Against the Death Penalty that's happening today. And the International Day of the Girl Child Program. Information is going to be launched today. So that is part of our news cycle as we continue keeping tabs on it. Now, time for us to move to our second conversation. And this conversation is about athletics. Because yesterday, in the streets of Chicago, Kelvin Kiptum broke the men's marathon world record at the 45th edition of the Chicago Marathon. He clocked 2 hours 35 seconds. He slashed 34 seconds from the previous world record. The women's race won by Sifan Hassan in a new course record, 2 hours 13 minutes 43, 13 minutes 34 seconds, and 2022 champion Ruth Chepngetich taking second place. 2 London Marathon winners winning in Chicago. Now, what's the big story around this? And to do this, we're joined by the publisher of athletics.co.ke, John Veslin, who joins us via Zoom. John, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Ahome. How are you?
I am very, very well. So, John, let's start with this because we had about, 7 races yesterday. At times when you just take a look at how much space you'd have, it would be out. But Chicago was the big one. And what was the difference that you saw with Chicago from yesteryears and the race that we witnessed yesterday?
Thank you very much for having me on your program, Mahome. Yesterday, the message was very clear that it doesn't matter the course that you are using. You know, we are used to Berlin, a course where it's so flat that anyone can go there and break records. But from yesterday, what we are learning from Kiptum's phenomenal racing is that he defied the order of the day. He defied the dynamics of the course. He defined the terrains of the course. He defined the weather. He defined the systems that were put into place. He defined everything ever assembled in the racing history of any marathon in the world. And mind you know that this is the second time that a world record has been broken in this course. The first time was in 1999. It was broken by Khalid Kanouchi from Morocco. So yesterday, it's a moment. It's huge for us. It's something that we will live to tell. This is a story that we're gonna tell because nothing like this has ever happened in the world of marathon running.
Now let's talk about Kiptum's race, basically race history. We know he did quite a number of local races, at the half marathon and all of that. And but when he burst to the scene in December last year, he shocked everyone because of the time that he clocked, because that was quite fast on debut. Just a background of Kiptum before he went to Valencia last year.
I met Kiptum 4 years ago at what is it called, CAS Half Marathon, where he took the honors. And the terrains there, it's a hilly course. It's one of the toughest courses of if I may put it, in Kenya, it's one of the second toughest course after the Ndakaini course. But again, it's usually a course that when an athlete goes there and an athlete runs a sub of 62 or 63, that is amazing time, which means you can, when you go outside or you go somewhere that the terrain or the weather allows you to run good, you can run a sub 58 or 57. So I met him during that time when he was just 19 years. And what I saw from him, because I interviewed him, I remember interviewing him, and I asked him how he saw the course. He said it was just easy. You see, when people were really lamenting on how tough the course was, because it's a hilly course, but to him, he took it easy and he said he's ready to come and conquer the one. And those are the ones that I heard yesterday again. Because when he was asked after the race, how do you feel? Because when you look from the 35 mark, I thought now that this guy is going out to suffer. He's going to feel now the pain and the pinch of being hard on that course. But the guy took it easy. In fact, he had slowed, and you remember the first half. And this second half, he ran again a negative. And you remember again in London, I think we shared with you sometimes back when I was at your studios. He's a man of negatives. It's very difficult for any athlete. This man is defying the systems that have been put in place on the things that we are used to know. That you run the first half, you run a positive, the second half, you run a negative. But for him, he is defying everything in that order. He's changing how running is being. He's a man we need to look and study him. I think we need to study him more, especially for us people who are careful or who have a keen interest into matters of athletics. So this guy has been here on the ground. He has been, when I think after London, I met him and then we were just sharing, and he told me he has been in the system active running for 6 years. And last year, as you also know, is that he was nobody. He was an unknown person, but he came to Valencia and made a name for himself. And now 3 races in a row, he's a world record holder.
Well, the one thing that I would like to, just to clarify, what John was saying is about the positive split and the negative split is where, look at the halfway point of a marathon. If you run the second half faster than the first one, it's known as the negative split. If you run the second half slower than the first half, it's known as a positive split. But just let's take a look at how his race execution was. Because from the gun, just 5 kilometers in, you could see that he had broken with Daniel Mateko and holding, trying to keep that pace. And whoever was given pacing duties, you could tell that they really had some tough job, because rather than stay ahead, they were almost running shoulder to shoulder.
These guys were on a mission. And I remember before Daniel Mateko left to go to the race, I had an interview. I had a sit down one-on-one at the airport for a 5 minutes interview because he was late to get into to board the plane. And he shocked me personally. He told me that, you wait, I'm going to shake the one. Expect unexpected in that race. And what I saw, the very first 5 kilometer, the 10 kilometer, the 15 and the 20, I saw wonders. I saw that this guy had refused. He was toe-to-toe with Kiptum. And I said, what a race this is going to be. And in fact, I almost shared my link to some people here, telling them, guys, expect what I was telling you. But that was a killer pace. It totally destroyed this young man. I think he could have remained behind with the following group, or the group that was behind, which had Abdi Bashir. I think he overestimated himself, because if you look at the top 17, he's nowhere near to be seen. So he was totally destroyed, because the course has no mercy on anyone. The atmosphere again, it was a cold season. Because Wahome, just look at this. Look at what Sifan said after the race. Because she was shivering, which means the weather wasn't even perfect for racing at that particular minute. Imagine if this young man can get a Berlin course.
Wow. Well, actually, there's a reason why they call Chicago the windy city. And he was able to beat the wind around, in Illinois and going through that. But let's also check out Benson Kipruto. He finished almost 3.5 minutes behind Kiptum. And you could see, he was almost, trying to cheer him on as he was still doing his celebrations. Kipruto, also a champion from last year, coming into this race. How would you describe his performance, and also that of John Korir, who finished also who finished 4th And all of them, given the conditions and the way he executed that was, I mean, basically, no one would have kept up with him.
Yeah. When we look, Benson was the defending champion of this race. And this race, if you look at it, it had 3 former champions. People had taken over. And this one was Benson Kiprupo, Garen Rup, and Seif Fatura. And when you look at their times, the finishing times, and then again you're talking about John Korir. John Korir, he ran his race because he understood if he will, he didn't want to fall into the trap of going at the killer pace that this young man, Kelvin and Mateiko, he decided to go. So for him and Benson, they decided, can we do this? Let's run our race. If we're gonna get these people in front, we will do that. And you remember Abdi Bashir's racing tactics. He's a man who knows how he runs, he controls his paces, and he knows his body. He understands his body. He doesn't force his body. And you can see how many people he came and passed. Because at the 35 kilometer mark, actually Bashir was still number 7 behind. But you can imagine he came and he finished on the podium. So for me, what I'm seeing is this, that this race, many people decided to go or decided to follow what their body was talking to them. Because without that, you're going to be destroyed, because the pace was a killer pace that you could not withstand the heat of that pace. So for Benson, I think he decided, for me, let me run my race. Whatever number I'll finish, I will thank God. And that's where he was. He actually finished with this was the 2:04.2 was his fastest time, or the lifetime best, or people call it a personal best. Yeah. So he did well, according to me.
Well, and now let's talk about the women's race. Sifan Hassan.
Yes.
Yes.
In
the case of Sifan Hassan, we would say that was the race. The women's race was more of a positive split. At what point do you think Sifan just got the edge over Ruth Chepngetich, because they were neck and neck, such that even the two pacers now had to split duties? Eventually, Sifan Hassan winning 2 hours 13:44, the second fastest time ever by a woman over the distance. And actually, the second fastest time we've seen, and this is in just 2 weeks.
Yes. I think Sifan Hassan, again, she has started our racing tactics. And during the race, I was just thinking, what if we had Helen Obiri? Helen Obiri is the best medicine for this young girl, because for Sifan Hassan, because Helen understands Sifan better than anyone else. And they are just people who are coming off the track. And if you look at Chepngetich actually, last year she was the national 10 kilometer national champion.
Yes.
She has been doing, but she has been having a nagging injury that has really not been good on her end. And again, you remember she also joined the Kenya prison bandwagon, although they didn't load her the same way the way the army did to Manangoi Junior George, because he went there with army. They don't care about athlete.
Actually, it is the service first.
Yes, it is. Yes, the country first. But with her, again, when she went there, people even went for training. They were set aside. Him and Keter, you remember the young Keter, they were put aside so that they can continue training. But Chepngetich has been having a nagging injury. I pray that it will come through, because I think she has ended the season with this race, and we are going to the cross country for speed works where people are going to come. So for me, the Sifan has come far. She's a legend in her own game. She is one of the finest women that we can have a history to fall back on. Sifan is in the same history books as Eliud Kipchoge. They have a huge history that you can sit down and talk about them and analyze them. In regard again to Kevin Kiptum, who is just a 6-year person, and internationally, people had never known him. They have just known Kiptum after Valencia, which is a year ago. But for us, for somebody like me who has known Kiptum for the last 4 years, I have something that I can tell people that, look here, this man had talent. I saw the talent when he was at 19 years in Eldoret. You see, so for Hassan, is she has studied our game, and she knew she understood what can I call? She understood her game during yesterday's. She knew if I maintain or if I force myself out of what I plan to do or purpose to do, I will fall apart. And you remember again at almost 30K when the Pacers saw Ruth was falling back, they had again to talk and say, okay, you listen, go try to pull the other person so that again he or she can follow, can be able to follow. But I think this team had really gotten out of hand for Ruth Chepngetich, which allowed Sifan Hassan to almost beat her by 2 minutes. Well, actually, it's 2 minutes. Yes.
Yes.
More than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it was just over 2 minutes because for Ruth Chepngetich, I remember her speaking at the Elite Women's press conference, and she did mention, together with Kipruto. Kipruto was going for a PB. Ruth said, "Can I go for a PB? I can try go for it," and knowing where she's coming from. But the story about Sifan Hassan is won London.
Yes.
Went back to the track. 3 events. The 1500, the 5000, and the 10,000. Then comes back to this, and she doesn't seem to stop at breaking records, especially the European records now. What makes Sifan tick? Because everyone is just baffled because we've seen her medal in those on the track in the 15, 5, and 10.
Sorry, come back.
All right. Now we're saying what makes we're talking about Sifan Hassan. Just taking a look at her season. Won in London. Went down to Budapest. Competed in 3 events: the 10,000 meters, the 5,000 meters, and the 1,500 meters. Then we see her come back. Just what makes her tick? How versatile? Because it's rare to see such a versatile athlete.
I think, Wahome, it all dawns again to speed work. I think these people are doing a sort of a speed work to them. For Sifan, going back to the track, you'll find most of our athletes every Thursday or Tuesday, most of our Kenyan athletes, they go for speed work. Speed work is about now getting to the track because track is a little bit faster and it's a little bit softer, not the hard surface that they are used to. So when you combine the two, it fine-tunes you. And you see, especially for Sifan, she has a finishing peak. That's the person that you cannot allow her to move closer to 2 kilometers, the final pace. She will kill you because she has that in her legs. And the reason why I was bringing in Helen Obiri is Helen has that capacity to handle her. Helen understands the game. She knows if I can sustain that pace from the 35 kilometer to 38 kilometer, I know I'm going to finish this person. So for me, for Sifan being on the track and then coming back, she was just leveraging. You see, like the way Paris did. Paris, she's heading to New York, right?
Yes.
And she just went to defend her title in Riga. It's a speed work for us because that one doesn't consume her. You remember these people, they go 38 kilometers every Thursday. Speed work or long runs, they call them long runs. Some people go on Thursday, some on Tuesday, but the most majority of Kenyan athletes, they go on Thursdays because they have built up from Monday, it's a build up to Thursday. Then Friday it's a relaxing, they just doing speed work, then they see themselves off to go and check on their family or relax or let the body rest to recover for coming Monday. So for me, see, the people under Sifa, people on track, you see statistically, people have said after Alberto getting out of picture, after these people pulling away from him, and you saw again, we are also talking about the Mo Farah effect. You see, Mo Farah, the moment he stepped out of management of Oregon Project and Alberto Salza, things didn't go the same way it was. But you have seen again from Stefan Ango that the moment she stepped out of that camp or out of that project, we have seen her improving. So I think for me, it is about how she has carried herself, how her training has been going, and the issue of not changing coaches, because when you change coaches, you are prone to injuries, and that might take a lot of time. Here, I'm bringing in a Thing Moon. You remember when he changed the coach, the effect that has affected her performance even during this year. it was below as of far. Even she was thinking of not going to one championship, but she had to be forced to go there. So for me, it's all about preparation and the state of mind that Sifan had yesterday. She did wonderful. She did fantastic. And I really congratulate her for that.
Now, away from that, just a few races I'd like to mention. One was the Munich Marathon. And this was one of the, I think, 7 or 8 marathons that we had.
Especially yesterday. For the ladies, the first 2 ladies. That I'm talking about, Catherine
Cherotich and Tekla Chebet.
It was messy, I tell you. You know, with running, the body or the mechanism or the mechanics of the body, when an athlete reaches a distance of around from 30 kilometers, going all the way to 42 kilometers, the body, she's not herself or himself at that particular time. It's just that the mind is there, but the body is just running or just going by itself. Ni kama mteremko. Vile sisi usema gari inaenda free on mteremko. You are like on a free mode. So anything, if for instance, if any person passes in front or causes distraction of an athlete, like for Munich yesterday, what happened is this, that there was a construction site, then the lead car took a wrong turn, and then they had again to be deducted on that time, which even according to myself, I doubt if these people really ran the 42 kilometers that's supposed to be ran. I think they overran because they had to do 2 laps of honor in the stadium, the 2 athletes. They had to go rotate so that they could complete the 42 kilometers. I'm wondering if it was measured or if that distance was measured to put it, because it's something that happened in the course of the race. It was shameful for such a big race that is 37 years and going. It is a disgraceful, if I may say so.
Okay. Well, the case of Bernard Muya and Benson Nzioki.
Wonderful. Bernard did wonders. Unexpected. He beat experienced people. He beat Matolo. Cosmas Matolo was there. He beat them. I'm telling you, I did not expect Muya to win this race because he was an inexperienced. But one thing, Wahome, you and me, I think we agree on is that these people who make debuts, they are the most dangerous individuals. You look at who is this, the half marathon women record holder, the Ethiopian lady. Look at her when she made a debut. Look at Almaz when she made the debut. Look at Sifan when she made the debut. Look at Obir when she made the debut. These are the dangerous people to ever race with. Don't spare them. I think what happened with Kiptum, he knew if I let this guy pace alongside me, he's gonna show me dust. He destroyed that character completely. They are dangerous individuals, and that is Muya, where I'm seeing it.
Okay, well, the road running season continues, and the other one marathon that a lot of Kenyans keep taking a look at is Amsterdam. That's coming up on Sunday.
Yes.
And
yes.
Just take a look at the field. Birhanu Legese, we've got Bernard Koech, is a 204 runner. Joshua Belet, Lemi Berhanu. You can see that the names who are there. We've got Cyprian Kotut and Bernard Kipiego. Just give an outlook of the men's race as expected on Sunday in Amsterdam.
For me, I'll put my name on Kotut because Kotut is a man of wonders. You know, you remember in Hamburg, he went and destroyed, was it last year but one, he went and destroyed Eliud Kipchoge's course record that had stayed there for around 7 years. Actually, it is 7 years. He went and destroyed that record. He's a man of surprises, and I bet him is going to take over. He's going to take that title. And I know many people, again, we are looking at debuts. That's the fear where we are. I see the performance on men. I will bet my knee on Cyprian. He might cause surprises in that race.
Why would you be looking at Cyprian? Because, I mean, looking at Cyprian Kotut, honestly, he's run under 2 hours 5. So he's now
Yes.
going to a second-tier marathon. What kind of challenge would he offer? Because Birhanu Legese is the fastest on paper, 2:02:48.
But Legese, look at the time he ran. And Birhanu again, look at the consistency of the race. If we look at Legese's races this time, he has not been that constant as he used to be. That's why I'm looking at the consistency. You see somebody like Kiptum, somebody like again Eliud. We see the consistency. When you look at Sifan Hassan, we see the consistency. Every time they come, there's a performance they are doing. Every time they come, they're improving on their past, from their past. I think it's a learning process. But from what I'm seeing, you see like Eliud Kipchoge's last race here in Berlin. You can imagine if Kiptum was there, Eliud could not be there. Eliud could not be seen. History could not have been written. So for me, I see that you saw again the second half. Instead of he was running like going backwards, because the second leading team was actually after him, and it's just a pity that they didn't know that they was too close to him, and so they decided to run their race just to finish the race in the capacity that they were able to. But you see, consistency and performance dictates, because for me, if I want to get somebody like now Kiptum, my reasoning is now next season, I know Kiptum definitely is going to Berlin course, because right now he has told those Berlin organizers that we don't need Berlin course. We need Chicago, we need New York. We can
Why would anyone forget Berlin?
In any course.
Why would anyone forget Berlin?
It's a flat. It's a flat course. We don't refuse. That's why I'm talking about. If this man goes there, if Kiptum goes there, then this man is going to run under 2 hours. He will be the first man. Actually, he's going to be. He will eke his name in history books as the only person who has gone under the 2:01 mark and under the 2 hour mark, because this is going to happen. Because right now he's a premium athlete. Premium athletes, they only race twice, maximum of 3 times. But most of these people, like him now, the category that he's placed, he'll only race twice. Tomorrow he will go to race at Berlin, then maybe he'll go somewhere else or New York. You never know.
All right. Now, let's talk about the women's race in Amsterdam also. Looking at the fields, the top 3 Ethiopians, Ashete Bekere, we've seen what Ashete Bekere can do. Degitwa Zemarau is another strong athlete. Stirui Mesfin, all have run in under 2 hours 19. But the key names from Kenya I want to look at: 1, Dorcas Tuitoek, Marion Kibor, and Linet Masai. What kind of challenge would they offer to the Ethiopian contingent that has been offered, that has been presented in Amsterdam for Sunday's race?
Maybe just before I rush there, I want just to mention something about again Legese. If you look at the previous 2 or 3 races that Legese has raced, he has raced in Valencia. He finished in 2020. He finished 3rd on 2:03. In 2021, he finished at London Marathon 5th on 2:06. And then in 2022, which is last year, same London Marathon, he finished the same time, 2:06:11. Actually, he is going back. So that is why I was telling you, my brother, is that the consistency is not there. It's as if he's edging or going behind. Back to the women. I can tell you for sure, the women or our package, the Kenyan package, for them even to appear on the podium will be a surprise. Ethiopians are going to rule come next Sunday. In fact, they might take the whole position 1, 2, 3.
Wow, you're not going to make friends with a lot of Kenyans, but Sunday is what we shall find out. Now, let's talk about the Toronto Marathon later that evening. And Elvis Cheboy is one of the names who's been entered. And, working with his coach, Nicola Gabriele, how much do you expect, for him to push in this race that's taking place in Canada on Sunday evening?
Toronto has been generally a hard course race, because if you look at Mr. Toronto, that is Philemon Rono, he won last weekend a race. If you look at their timing, you will find that it is a 2:05 race. Nobody has gone, because he's still the course. No, he's still the course record holder there, and nobody has gone to 2:04, which means the course is still a little bit a challenge to many. But again, we usually look at the field or the capability of the athletes, and then on the same sideline again, we are looking at the management of these athletes, because athletes again, they are looking at the appearance fee, because most of these athletes, they don't look at the prize money. Prize money to most athletes is just peanuts. Prize money is those for people who are just coming up or starting up. Those are the people who concentrate on the prize money. But if you look at this elite, the top 10 athletes, if they come into your race, right now we are looking at Kiptum, we are looking at Abdi Bashirs, we are looking at Korirs, we are looking at Benson. These are now the top athletes right now at the moment. If you call such athletes, you'll find the appearance is too high. Your appearance is between 10 million to around 55 million, depending on the category of where you fall. So when you look at the Toronto, it will not bring that the usual hula baloo, because I'm telling you, Amsterdam will overtake Toronto in place of in regard to publicity and the whole setup of the race, because Toronto Waterfront hasn't brought itself up to the game as much as it had been there for many years. Yeah.
Well, it's always what we call has always been known as maybe a silver label athlete, and it brings other athletes to the front. Now, let's look at Sharon Kimboi. She's going to be running in the women's race. She's not that known, but she's got some great, background that comes with Japan. And she also trains with Antonina Kwambai. And Kwambai won Toronto last year, 2:23.20. Quite a good time for a tier 2 race. So what would she bring in, knowing the kind of support she's getting from Kwambai as they head into the races on Sunday?
You're talking about Sharon Kiprotich, right?
Yes. Sharon Kimboi.
Yeah. Sharon, and they train together with Kwambai, and Kwambai is a veteran, as we all know. Although also age is catching up with her if you do follow up, because her performances of late has not been that encouraging and consistent. And then I think she was also on maternity leave. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think her performance has not picked up as per se. But again, as I was saying, people who debut, they are the most dangerous, because you don't know when they will hit, you don't know when they will attack, you don't know the energy level that it's in their body. You are competing against somebody that you have no history, or you have never seen him or her competing, unless the person has been competing in half marathon. And these people who compete in half marathon, it's about the energy they have been reserving. Because when somebody competes half marathon specialty, remember that same person still goes for a long run of 38 kilometers. The same way I was talking about, if you look at the history of Faith Kiprotich, as much as he's on the track, Faith Kiprotich does long runs of 10K with men. He does long runs of 10K to 21K. Then she comes back. She goes back to the field. So it's about endurance, building the endurance, the capacity to endure the hard course or the torturous course. So for me, I have nothing really much to talk about Sharon Kiprotich as of now, because my expectation is the Ethiopians at the moment, they are taking us for a ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that next Sunday we will have a different conversation, depending on what you say. I think the other one is, and this is the one race that I think it's Africa's premier marathon as far as world athletics is concerned, is the Cape Town Marathon and the opportunities that come with it for Africans running on the continent. What's your take on this event down south?
Cape Town Marathon?
Yes.
Yeah, Cape Town has nurtured a lot of our athletes. Their courses. Cape Town, let me tell you something funny about these South Africans. South Africans, they do a lot of endurance races. These are people who have been built to run 25, 35, 42, 50, 75, and 100-kilometer races. So they are tough. These are tough courses in South Africa. And when you go to South Africa, especially for a race like Cape Town Marathon, it's building you to endure, because the course, as much as it's not that tough course as of Chicago or Boston, but the courses out there, they are really tough. Especially for them, it's tougher than here in Kenya, the courses that we train or we run against. Because now Kenyan, how many races do we have actually for now? Because economically, people are pulling out, sponsors are pulling out of most races. Now the only viable race that an athlete can try and run is the Standard Chartered Marathon that is about to happen. So most of our athletes now, especially for those who again had trained to race at last weekend's the Lawrence City Marathon, they had to pull out now. They don't know what they will do. Because, with a race, it's about program yourself, how you program your body on when it's going to start racing, on when it's going to face the total race course, on when you're going to now decide to rest, or how you plan. But the moment a race is cancelled, it usually distorts your plans. You go to zero again. So Cape Town, it's a good race and it's a well-paying race. And I know most Kenyans, again, for us, we are going to take the honors there.
And we're also seeing that we're building up to it's October. It's also the time when we build up to the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Always a big event when it comes to this.
Yes.
For this event and what the organizers have planned to make sure that it's competitive right at the top level. What is your just outlook at the past couple of events and where you see, because we've seen athletes come through this event and break to higher levels. Just take us through that.
Yeah. One thing I hope the organizers of Nairobi Standard Marathon are listening to me right now. I have covered this race for the last 9 years.
Wow.
And 9 years, Standard Nairobi Marathon. And this race, I think as of now, it needs to be a label race. But as of now, you and me, we know even a bronze has not been leveled in anywhere. We have not been certified by World Athletics.
Actually, John, it's not even John, it's not about the label, but for the athletes.
I'm coming into it.
All right, yeah, which is what I'm saying. It's not about the label, because that takes a longer process, but it is about for the local athletes, especially when it comes to the half marathon and the full marathon. This is the one event that is easy for them to enter.
I was just building up towards that, Wahome, if you allow me to. I'm talking about the organization of this race. It's usually messy. I'm looking at the start. You see, last year, Wahome, around 8 elite athletes got injured. These are people who have come trained for months to come and participate in this race. But when you come at the start lineup and then you are stepped on or trampled on, then it literally destroys what can I say? Okay. Your plans and everything. What am I saying is this: athletes have prepared, and mark you, this year it's going to have a huge volume of athletes this race this year.
Yes.
The 10K, the 21, and the 42 kilometer. The volume of athletes will be overwhelming because there has been no race in Kenya. So everyone and everybody, again, Wahome, you see, such a race like Stanchart Nairobi Marathon, again, for those who are coming in or getting into the to the world of running, and for those who have been training to have a place in the map of running or to be recognized, use such races. So it's a huge race that is going to be of importance to many upcoming and even those who have already established themselves. So I'm hoping for a better race, but I hope that this time round, the start and the finishing will be properly handled so that we can have the right winners. You remember last year, Rita Chepto found me at the podium. She was number 3, but according to them, somebody else was number 3.
I think that, John, I can tell you, has been addressed on this table previously. I know that was addressed by the race directors, so at least I know that has been addressed. It was, I know also some time back there was the case of Njogu, the person who decided, and I think you also know that has been advised. But also, the other one that, we'll be building up to very soon is 2 events. New York, 2 events. New York, that's one to look out for, and then Valencia. Just looking at those 2 events.
Oh, New York, we are having Paris days. She's going there.
Yes.
And Paris, she's in top of her form. And to me, it's already home.
1 month from now. You can't be that confident. Looks like there's a freeze in the feed that is coming in. It's just the outlook for athletics, knowing very well that last night, Kelvin Kiptum, he broke the men's world record in a marathon. 2 hours, 0:35. So, and 34 seconds was slashed.
I hope you are getting me. My hope and prayer is this, that when New York comes, that day, she'll be at her fitness level will be good, and I know she'll carry the day.
All right. Yes, that is John Vaslin. Before he broke, he was speaking about Paris Jepchirchir, who's going to be making a return, be running in New York. She's a 3-time world half marathon champion now. One of the, how many do I count now? I think 4 women who've done a 3-peat of that: Tegla Rupe, Edna Kiplagat, and Paula Radcliffe. The other one that everyone will have their eyes on, John, as we come to a close, is the Valencia Marathon in Spain. This is where Kelvin Kiptum made his name. This is where we are seeing times that are fast, quite fast, for even such a young a marathon which has been elevated to platinum level, and it's one of the young platinum level marathons. But they say we want to be the fastest, be it the half or the full marathon. What kind of field would you be expecting? What's your intel on this?
Valencia is one of the places that history has been written. And you remember Joyce Lynn? She came to be known there. And you remember that race? She broke 4 world records. 4 world records, Joyce Lynn. So Valencia is a course that has rich history, and I pray, as you have just been saying, it to be because it's a race that you cannot now categorize it. It's a platinum race at the moment. You have just mentioned it. We don't need to say a gold level. No, this is a platinum race because the course has been bringing in records year in, year out. This is a record that is broken in Valencia, and expect more records even this year. Expect more records to be broken. Kiptum did wonders there. I remember also this guy who was, I think he was banned. The tall guy, Wahome, you know him. This tall guy, what was his name? He ran one of the fastest time in the world again. Ikuru Titus, yes, Titus. I'm talking about Titus. Those are people who are made, they were manufactured from there. So this year, I know we still have products that are going to come out, and the name of Valencia will again be on the global map this time round.
Well, very interesting you use the term manufacture, but just taking a look at it, it's a Mediterranean level marathon. But you meant, so overall, just to mention, about New York, because that was slightly interrupted. We've seen, you mentioned that Perez Jepchirchir, and you believe that she's going to take it, just as we wrap.
Yes.
Just recap that.
Oh, Paris has two young people. And I remember I told her husband, Mr. Ngeno, I told him if he's not careful with these two young men, they will finish the wife. Yeah, now it's the wife. Because when you sit down with these are two pacers. They pace her every day. They run with her. They stay with. These are people who have become a family to Paris, and they are paid on daily basis depending on how the contract or the agreement between them. When you sit down with these two young people, they are two young men, and you hear what their plan or what they are talking about or how they are going to take her through the paces. These people, they are in for business. That when they hit that muddy road, when they hit that course, they have nothing else apart from doing and exposing every weakness in Paris body, because these people, they torture her. Paris goes through a lot of torture before you see her on the podium outside there. These people, they are torturers. They are using her. They are saying, we want to get the best out of her.
No
so
pain,
to her,
no gain. No
yes,
pain,
that is
no
the
gain.
thing. No, true, very true, very true, very true. So, and I had a word with them. They are saying, and they assured me, that's why I'm telling you without blinking my eyes, that this thing, New York is home. Paris will be landing with the trophy back in Kapsabet.
Okay, so we shall be looking for that, and that's in a month's time. Thank you very much, John, for being with us for the past, just about 40 or so minutes. And
yes,
let's look for the road running season that started late September and is going to run into early December, culminating with what is the first Valencia Marathon before we get on to cross country and other events. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Ahome.
Well, then that's Sports Check for today, where we've been talking about the African 8-Ball Pool Championships, and later, and also speaking about athletics. Time for me to take a break, and remember that one of the events that we are going to be covering today is the commissioning of MV Uhuru 2, which is a good ferry vessel that is going to be commissioned by His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, and this is at the Kisumu Shipyard. Thank you for being with us. Have a good day. Coming up next is our Swahili News program, Kurunzi Mashinani, followed by the interview program, Tamrinde. Have a good day. I am Daniel Wahome.